everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Utopia podcast. I'm Chris, and joining me today is Tommy. We have lots of news today, so we'll get right to it. First off, the 360 cover has officially been released for NCAA Football 11 with Tim Tebow. This one, a little interesting pose. Tommy, we were talking about this earlier real quickly. What do you think of these 360 and PSG covers that are out?
I'm kind of at a loss for words just because he's known, obviously, for being a quarterback. Obviously, he was a running quarterback, but he was known for being a quarterback. He was drafted by the Broncos, one to assume to be a quarterback, but yet here he is. He's in a running back pose, and then now on the 360 cover, he's in a rah-rah cheerleader pose, sort of. It's, I guess, interesting, but, I don't buy the game for the cover, so no worries there.
This week, we learned of another new mascot coming to the game with Shasta from the University of Houston, and along with that, EA put out pictures of 4 mascots updated based on community feedback. Those are Oregon, Texas Tech, Stanford, and Syracuse. I think anytime EA Sports or any game studio can point out game aspects they've improved based upon community feedback, that always should be considered a huge positive. Now, before we get into the main part of the show and all the news that came out of New York City the previous week, we have to say Tommy and I, and also Jeremy, who's been on the show the last few weeks, we have seen the game. We're at the community event last month. However, we're under an NDA, and until EA puts out their video or their detailed blog on a feature, we can't go into any details. So anything we mention that pull out of these previews, we can't confirm nor deny or clarify. So we're just going to pull out lines and quotes and things they are saying and leave it at that. Let's talk about, first off, this offensive play styles video that came out this week from EA Sports. It talks about the different styles in the game. It's narrated by Kirk Herbstreit. It talks about the air raid, the spread, the multiple, the one-back, the triple option, the run and shoot, the West Coast offense, and the pistol attack. Tommy, this video real quickly, what did you think of it?
It was kind of neat just to see there was some quote-unquote gameplay footage where it's basically like the play preview. The interesting thing that we saw there is that it shows blocking assignments for the pre-snap, so you can kind of see which linemen are going to pick up particular defenders. And then as well, we saw footage of, replay footage of them running the particular plays, things like that. It was pretty good to see, and a lot of people got to see more on the locomotion after, the past video that we'd seen before. This one gave a lot more people that it will be a good feature. It's not going to be just fluff or anything like that.
In what has become a recent tradition in the past few years, GameStop has came out with game information before EA Sports had a chance to clarify or officially announce anything. They came out with this information on their product website for NCAA Football 11. I will read this verbatim. Feel the emotion of authentic college football more than ever with NCAA Football 11. From running the no-huddle spread offense to walking out of the tunnel locking arms, everything you do and see will be original to your favorite school. With an all-new locomotion engine and real assignment AI, only NCAA Football 11 gives you 120 ways to win. Under their expanded information section, they talk about the locomotion system, which we know about. They mention the ESPN broadcast package integration, which we know about. They talk about some other aspects, and I will read this verbatim as well. Play the way the schools do. Run the no-huddle spread, triple option, wishbone, wild hog, or pistol offenses the same way as your favorite schools. Dictate the tempo of the game when running the spread as you look to the sideline for the plays, or break the huddle and study the defense at the line of scrimmage when operating a traditional pro-style offense. The game is in your hands. And they also mention real assignment AI. From new running lanes to double-team blocking, experience the most realistic, authentic offensive performance like never before. Tommy, this is something over the last couple of years that GameStop has made a tradition that they've announced in recent years. Features early, they've announced cover athletes early, and here they are at least discussing some game aspects that EA Sports has not talked about. We don't know the full details publicly from EA to talk about it. What do you think about this with GameStop making this happen so frequently?
Well, it's becoming laughable that it happens every year. In years past, they've shown stuff. A lot of times they provide this information, but in some cases they actually hadn't been accurate. Last year they did Rivet Team Builder before EA had a chance to talk about it, but then in years past they've revealed something that was inaccurate. So, we got to take this with a grain of salt, but, it's funny that every year this seems to happen.
And also 5 websites that came out with their hands-on preview, their look and their impressions of NCAA Football 11. Sites including BG Revolution, Destructoid, Operation Sports, GameSpot, and Game Informer. For the most part, these places, they simply just gave their opinions on the features that EA showcased to them at the Draft Night Premiere event and also at the EA Sports Season Opener event, going over formation subs, locomotion, ESPN integration, the linear lighting, the visuals in the game, etc. VG Revolution, IGN, game trailers all had videos as well. If you want to check that out, we'll make sure to link to it at ncastrategies.com. Obviously, they said some of the features in the game are still embargoed. We know there's more to come. But in terms of what these 5 sites released and the individuals who were there in attendance, Tommy, what did you think so far of what they've said?
It sounded like all of them had very positive things to say about the game. I mean, even going so far as to saying that it's going to be good competition for Madden. Who knows how the sales and everything like that will dictate, but at the same time, all of them basically had glowing reviews for the games. So it's interesting to see as they start to announce features and actually once the game gets here, how it's received by the general population.
The past week, there's been a lot of game information out, ranging from previews to videos to interviews with Tim Tebow, etc. The best way to keep up on everything is to visit us at ncaastrategies.com. We have everything linked there in our news forum. You can find threads on almost everything devoted to all these forms of media coming out that we don't get to necessarily in this abbreviated short podcast. Before we end the show, Tommy, as of April 26th, how many days are we away from the release of NCAA Football 11?
There's now 78 days remaining before the release of NCAA Football 11. We've seen a lot. Community likes what they hear so far. It seems like even still, there's lots of time that they can release some new features, and really curious to see how the community receives the game this year overall.
For Tommy, this is Chris. Everyone, thanks for listening to this edition of the Utopia podcast. Make sure to check us out at ncaastrategies.com.